Recently we did beef ribs on the smoker and they were magnificent, but that's not the only way to go about beef ribs. Today we're going to make braised beef ribs.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, exactly. That's right, exactly. But it's not going to be that traditional, you know, with a mirepoix and all the stuff.
With a what?
A mirepoix.
Oh, what's that?
That's the holy trinity of vegetables: onion, carrot, celery, that you put as a base. This is going to be a beef-centric recipe. You'll see, you'll see. I have here a nice piece of Black Angus short rib with the membrane removed from the back. But I don't want, obviously, to cook it in one piece. I want to have individual pieces here. So I want to cut down between each rib in the center to separate each rib. Ooh, that's some beautiful marbling right there, huh?
And a lot of meat actually attached.
Oh no, these are good and thick. This is actually chuck ribs, short ribs, from the forward part of the carcass, if you so will. These are still too big for me, so I want to separate them a little bit more. So I start by cutting the bone, my bone saw.
That's a playground for you.
Yeah, it's a little bit
Tools and
tedious.
meat.
It's a little bit tedious, but it's worth the effort, trust me. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. There we are. That's the sizes that I want. So I'll continue with my tedious work on the other ones. I gave them a light trimming with my knife. Don't go too aggressive because it doesn't matter that there are some fat left over because it's going to cook for a long time and that will render out and give some nice flavor to our sauce. For seasoning, we're going simple. We're going to give it a healthy coating of sea salt. And then I'm going in with some freshly cracked black pepper. And then it's basically a question of mopping up the spices with the other sides of the meat. When I'm done with this, I'll see you at the stove. I have my large oven pot here over medium to high heat, and it's been pre-warming, and now we're going to go in. We don't need a lot because there are fat on the meat, but we will go in with a bit of avocado oil. Has a nice high smoke point. Is there a couple of tablespoons? And then we're going to take our meat and we start braising it. Meat side or presentation side down first. And we want to make sure that we get a good sear on all sides of the meat here. They're gonna look pretty. And also make sure that when you are braising these, you do all sides, including the bone side at the end. That's the important part, to get all that done correctly. I think we're gonna have a nice sear now. Let's have a look here. That's pretty. Then we do the sides first because that is just pretty. Because I want to do the bone side at the end, and I will actually show you why. Ooh, look at that. It's looking really good.
And they smell really beefy.
That they do.
Beef on steroids.
Okay, this is a small one, but anyway, it also has its right. And we keep going on all sides here until we turn them on the bone side, and then I will show you a few tricks. Now we've done all sides apart from the bone, so now we're going to put that down and place them nicely, because this is how they are going to be positioned when we put it in the oven. I want to make a little bit of space here, and now comes the trick I was telling you about. And now I'm going to go in with a whole clove of garlic, actually two, which has just been cut down the middle, and we want to fry that a little bit face side down, like that. And one more over here, because we want to roast the garlic here together with the meat. That's going to give an excellent sweetness to the sauce when we are coming to that point. And I'm just creating a little bit of a space here because at the same time as the garlic is roasting, I want to get in with, I would say, 3 big tablespoons of tomato paste, because you want that to fry a little bit to cook out. Otherwise, the flavors, they're not super good with the tomato, so you want to cook it out here.
That starts smelling so good.
It already smells amazing, and this is what I said. You could do this with a mirepoix, you know, on a layer of vegetables and then in the oven. But by doing it this way, you're gonna get a really beef heavy sauce, and it's gonna be so delicious to serve it over, I don't know, mashed potatoes, whatever we're gonna figure out. We'll see. When your garlics, they start to brown on the side, don't lift them up and check, because then they will fall apart. You wanna leave them like this. Then we're gonna go in with some red wine. Don't use some fancy, expensive wine, but a good, decent drinking red wine here. How much shall we say?
Like half a bottle or more?
Yeah, half a bottle. But we're gonna let also that cook out a bit. We wanna get rid of the alcohol and let it evaporate and thicken up a little bit. So we will let this go 5-6 minutes before we continue. Here we are, and it started already to thicken up nicely with the tomato paste. So now we're gonna go in with some homemade beef broth. I'm not sure how much, because we don't want to submerge them fully. So I have a little bit more than a liter here, but I wanna go
like 2/3 in, or?
Yeah, something like that. Like you keep this much of the big chunks. Of course, there are the small ones down there, but yeah, a liter would do it. That will give nice sauce. So a liter.
It depends what pot you have and all.
Of course. Yeah. And see, it's already starting to simmer around the edges, so we will continue straight away. We're gonna continue with a couple of bay leaves. We nestle in here. 3, 4. I'll give it 4. It gives good flavor.
Be generous.
Be generous always.
The aromatics, yeah.
And then fresh oregano that we just tied up, and then it will we just nestle it in there, and that will the leaves, they will fall off by themselves, and then we just release the stems when we are finished. I will also show you that. And then the final little trick here is a rind of Parmesan. That gives great richness to a sauce like this, and we always do this. This is a super trick. So in there with that. And all that's left to do is cover this up, and then we'll bring it in the oven at 150 degrees for probably 2.5 hours to 3 hours. And here we are with a beautiful pot of beef. This is going to be really good. As I said, 150 in the middle here. And we just let that live in there for the foreseeable future. While our beef is rocking away in the oven over there, we're going to make not a side dish, I would call it a side component to our dish. And for that, we're going to need some shiitake mushrooms. And for those of you who are not familiar with shiitake, they are more firm to the flesh and a very different flavor profile than, for instance, brown button mushrooms. They are excellent for dishes like this. And also, they can take a lot of cooking. It's almost like meat, the consistency of the shiitakes. So
they're more rich than
much more. You can even get them dried and then rehydrate them. That's also possible. But if you can get the fresh, you should do it. All we're going to do here is we're going to slice them up in some slices like this thickness, so they cook nicely and relatively evenly. The stems we're just going to get rid of. And once I have all of these chopped up, I'll see you at the stove. To a cold pan, we're going to add some chunks of homemade pepper bacon. There's a link down below how to make that. It's excellent bacon. This is 12 thick slices that I have just cubed up. But always add to cold pan so that we can start rendering out some fat. Let's get this started on low flame. And then we're going to let this start rendering out slowly. And that bacon is just magnificent. When it looks and smells like bacon heaven, then we're going. But you want them almost done, because once you put the mushrooms, then these will stop frying. So they have to be like almost ready. Then we add all of our mushrooms, because they will start releasing some of their moisture, and that will then deglaze the pan, so we get and soak up some of the bacon fat. So it's going to be pure goodness. And now we're going to let these go while stirring once in a while until they're almost done, and then we give it the finishing touches. And when they start to soften up and have released their water like this, we're going to give it just a hit of sake, cooking sake. Don't use anything fancy here, but just, you know, like, just for the flavor, two splashes. Let it cook off for a minute. And then we're going to add pinch of salt. 2 pinches of salt then. A final touch, we're going to add, I'm not sure how much this is, but probably 100 milliliter, something like that, of ketchup manis or soy paste, which is a sweet, thick soy sauce that will add a little bit of sweetness, and then it will add some good umami to the mushrooms here. Now we let this cook for a couple of minutes, and then I just want to taste them. Oh, this smells so good. Here we are, almost 3 hours in, so let's give it a check now to see how we're doing. Let's get some steam out of here. There we go. We're not looking for temperature at all here, we're just looking for, this is like, it's the weight of the thermometer.
It's dissolved, it's
completely
nice, yeah.
Time to get it out of here so we can serve it. Now we have a few steps to go through to get this served correctly. This is still very hot, so let's get that out of here. And we have a beautiful meat. Now we want to get them out of here carefully, because this is like super tender. It's amazing. This is gonna be so good.
It smells so amazing.
It's awesome. Everything is crap, and then you make this, and then you're happy again.
And then life is good again.
Life is good again. First, let me get out all the big pieces here. We lost some bones. We have our bundle of oregano, which gave a lot of flavor to this. I want to get my garlics here, one by one, and then with a spoon, you squish them out like this, so you get all that beautiful meat, or whatever you call it, from the garlics. And with the last of the garlic gone, put that in the bowl, and then don't forget to scrape off all of this goodness from the bottom of the strainer, because you want that in your sauce. That's the good stuff. And then let's see if I can do this without making a mess.
Ooh, we have plenty of sauce.
Absolutely, there's a lot here. Back with a spoon to make sure we get all the juices out of our strainer. Shall we leave it as is, or shall we turn it into a gravy? What do you say?
I said to leave it as is. It smells so amazing. I don't want to add anything.
And you don't want it thicker or anything like that. You're happy with the consistency, because you can do here. I just want to whisk in all the garlic. Here we are, back with our mushrooms and our sauce. It's gonna be great. So let's get some of these on the side here to make it look good. And they smell also good. And there's such a nice addition to this. Trust me on that one. That's good though. That was bacon. Then we go over. Actually, it had a nice consistency, the sauce here. It's perfect.
But either way, anybody can add a little bit of starch and make it
If
as
you want to
thick
make it
as you
thick,
want.
Yeah. This is like pan sauce thickness, which basically is what I like the best. And each of them, they get a little bit of love here.
And you can serve it on a side with some rice or mashed potatoes, right? And soak them on top with this delicious sauce.
This sauce here on mashed potatoes, with this, it's excellent. I think we are just about there. Final touch. I want to sprinkle over a little bit of parsley, just to give a bit of freshness over the top, and some green. And then we have a beautiful, beautiful dish here. I've been looking forward to this, that's for sure, because I've been standing in this smell all day, and this is gonna be really good. I don't think I need a steak knife actually, but just...
You can do it with a butter knife.
I could do this with a spoon actually. Trust me, it's so tender. So, some of the nice meat here, mushroom, a little bit of everything, a little bit of dip in the sauce. That can really be good. That's fantastic. I mean, the meat is so juicy, it's fall apart tender. The sauce is absolutely super. As I said from the beginning, beef-centric like crazy. And with the shiitake mushrooms, with that little bit of sweetness, this is just perfect.